The orbit shook. Red fire lit the station as alien ships rained energy blasts across the dock. Cadets scrambled, their boots clanging on metal. Alarms screamed. Smoke filled the hallways. The humans were outnumbered, outgunned, and panicked. Eli Carson stood at the command platform. His eyes swept the chaos. Around him, cadets froze, unsure where to run. Some yelled orders they did not mean. Eli did not move. He smiled faintly, as if danger amused him. A transport vessel shook violently outside the viewport. Civilians screamed. The hull was cracking. A cadet shouted for help. Eli saw a young man trapped under a metal beam. He ran forward without thinking. He lifted the beam with one hand. The cadet crawled free. The station groaned under the weight of damage. Explosions rocked the outer walls. Smoke and sparks flew through the corridors. Eli grabbed a comm unit. His voice was calm but sharp. He gave orders with speed. Cadets who had frozen now moved. They followed his lead, their fear edged with sudden confidence. An alien ship moved closer, its weapons locking on. The cadets fired, but their lasers bounced off an invisible shield. Eli ran to the gravity control room. The console was massive, designed for teams, not one person. His hand hovered over the controls. Numbers and warnings flashed across the screens. He ignored them. Eli pressed the first lever. The weapon groaned. Sparks flew. A monitor warned of overload. He pressed another switch. The cadets behind him gasped. The weapon began to rise, impossibly heavy. Eli gritted his teeth and lifted with one hand. His muscles burned. Sweat ran down his face. He did not falter. Energy built in the chamber. The alien ship outside flinched. Eli aimed the weapon at the flagship. A pulse shot forward. The aliens faltered. Their shields sparked, then collapsed in places. Cadets cheered but kept firing. Eli's focus never left the weapon. A young cadet fell beside him. Blood ran across the deck. Eli grabbed the boy and dragged him behind cover. His heart pounded. He did not have time to grieve. The aliens were coming back, stronger this time. From the viewport, Eli saw more enemy ships emerging from the shadows of the planet. Their numbers were larger than any human report had said. Panic rose in the room. Cadets froze again. Eli stepped forward. He tightened his grip on the gravity weapon. His mind raced. He had no plan, only instinct. The station trembled as another explosion rocked the platform. Metal twisted, sparks flew, and alarms screamed louder. Eli's hand on the lever strained. His shoulder burned. Around him, cadets shouted and fired, trusting him to hold the impossible. Suddenly, the weapon trembled violently. Eli realized it was destabilizing. If it fell, the station would collapse. His heart skipped. He had to hold it. One hand, the weight of the station, and the lives of everyone in the orbit rested on him. The comm unit crackled. A voice shouted that a boarding party had breached the outer deck. Eli's stomach dropped. He had no time to deal with that. He had to hold the weapon. His eyes flicked to the young cadets, their faces pale but determined. He smiled again, faintly, almost a challenge to the universe itself. Then, from deep space, a shadow moved. A massive alien cruiser appeared where none had been before. It was bigger, faster, and angrier than anything the humans had faced. Eli's grip tightened. He looked at the cadets. Their fear reflected his own. He knew the fight was far from over. The weight on his hand was only the beginning. Eli held the gravity weapon steady. Sparks flew from the console. The station groaned under the strain. Cadets moved quickly around him, firing at alien drones that slipped through the shields. Their weapons barely scratched the hull. Eli ignored the pain in his arm. He focused on the pulse weapon, aiming at the alien cruiser slowly advancing. The cruiser fired first. Energy beams slammed into the station, sending debris flying. Cadets screamed. Eli adjusted the weapon. One hand, the impossible weight, and the station did not collapse. The human mind worked faster than the computer could track. He aimed for weak points in the alien shields. The cruiser shuddered. A cadet ran past, shouting that a boarding party had landed on the lower deck. Eli cursed under his breath. He did not have time to stop them. He needed the weapon focused. Another beam fired from the cruiser, hitting a transport. The vessel broke apart, civilians drifting in space. Eli's chest tightened. He could not stop every strike, but he could save the rest. He turned to a cadet near him. "Cover the lower deck. Move now." The cadet nodded and ran. Eli tightened his grip again. Another pulse fired from the gravity weapon. It hit the cruiser's hull. Metal bent. Smoke poured from the alien ship. The cadets cheered, but Eli did not smile. More ships were coming. Suddenly, a boarding alarm blared. Eli's heart raced. Ryan Blake, his friend, ran toward the outer hall. Eli's eyes followed him. A flash of alien light, and Ryan vanished behind a closing door. Eli cursed and ran after him, firing at drones that blocked his path. The corridors were a maze of smoke and twisted metal. Eli moved fast, bullets ricocheting around him. He reached the door just as it closed. Ryan was inside, trapped. Alien soldiers advanced. Eli pushed the door open with his shoulder, crashing into the first alien. He punched, grabbed Ryan, and ducked behind a metal crate. Ryan gasped. Blood ran from a cut across his cheek. Eli checked the hallway. Alien soldiers were closing in from both sides. He had no cover, no backup. He looked at Ryan, who was trying to stand. "We move now," Eli said. Ryan nodded, trusting him. Eli pulled a small device from his belt and pressed a button. The floor trembled. Explosions rocked the deck. Metal bent and debris flew. The aliens screamed but stumbled. Eli and Ryan ran. They reached the escape bay. The ship's engines roared. Ryan limped, blood dripping on the floor. Eli grabbed his arm and lifted him over a railing. They ran to a pod. Eli punched in the codes. The pod opened, but alarms screamed louder. Another alien boarding team had arrived. Eli held Ryan close, scanning for another exit. He spotted a maintenance shaft and pulled Ryan toward it. They crawled inside, the heat and smell of burning metal thick around them. Through a small viewport, Eli saw the human fleet moving into position. The aliens were stronger than any report had predicted. The fleet could not hold much longer without him. Eli swallowed hard. The weight of the station, the weapon, Ryan, and the lives of everyone in orbit pressed down on him. He pressed forward through the shaft. Sparks fell around them. A section of the hull twisted. Eli shoved Ryan forward, then followed. They emerged in a cargo hold. Supplies were scattered. Smoke and fire made it hard to breathe. Eli saw a large door leading outside. Another group of alien soldiers blocked it. He gritted his teeth. He could not retreat. One more leap, one more fight. He grabbed a crate and swung it like a battering ram. Aliens were thrown back. He pulled Ryan through the door just as a beam of energy scorched the floor where they had been. They ran into the docking bay, where the fleet waited, guns trained on the alien cruiser. Eli's chest heaved. Ryan leaned on him. The cadets looked at him with awe. Eli smiled faintly. Then a massive shadow passed over the docking bay. A second alien flagship, even larger than the first, dropped out of hyperspace above them. The fleet shuddered. Eli's stomach tightened. The war had just grown far worse. Eli and Ryan moved through the cargo bay. Smoke and sparks filled the air. Every step echoed on metal floors. The docking bay was chaotic. Alarms blared. Human and alien ships fired at each other. Explosions shook the walls. Ryan's leg was bleeding. He limped, but kept pace. Eli scanned the bay. A maintenance hatch led to the outside of the alien cruiser. It was risky, but it was their only chance. Eli signaled. Ryan nodded. They crawled through the narrow passage. The metal vibrated beneath them. Outside, the stars were black and empty. The alien cruiser's surface was cold, hostile, and scarred from battle. Eli gripped Ryan's arm and pulled him along. Every step could mean death. Every sound made them freeze. A hatch opened ahead. Alien soldiers appeared, weapons ready. Eli shoved Ryan behind a bulkhead. He drew his sidearm. He fired with precision, each shot knocking an alien back. Ryan joined using a makeshift weapon. They moved quickly, silent when they needed, deadly when they had to. They reached the inner airlock. Eli scanned the control panel. Alien symbols glowed. He pressed buttons, guessed patterns. The panel beeped. The airlock cycled open. A strong wind hit them. Eli grabbed Ryan and pushed him inside the cruiser. The outer hatch sealed behind them. Silence except for their breathing. The corridors inside the alien ship were strange. Lights glimmered in odd colors. The walls pulsed faintly as if alive. Machines hummed. Eli kept moving. He had no map, no backup, only instinct and training. Ryan followed closely. They heard voices. Alien AI communicated through the corridors. It mocked them, calling humans weak, inferior, and doomed. Eli clenched his jaw. He ignored it and pushed forward. They found prisoners, humans, and others. Some were injured, some scared. Ryan helped guide them quietly as Eli assessed the ship's layout. They moved toward the brig where Ryan had seen the first cadets taken. Doors blocked the path. Eli forced them open. Inside, cadets huddled. Relief spread across their faces. Some were badly hurt. Eli gave quick instructions. They prepared to leave. Every second mattered. Aliens discovered them. Guards stormed the corridor. Eli grabbed Ryan and ran. He fired as he moved, using human reflexes the aliens could not predict. Cadets behind him followed, taking down enemies when possible. The ship shuddered as human forces outside hit the cruiser. Explosions rocked the walls. Smoke choked the hallways. Ryan collapsed, exhausted and bleeding. Eli lifted him, ignoring his own fatigue. They reached the escape pods. Another alarm sounded. The pod bay was under fire. Eli shouted at the cadets to take cover. He pulled Ryan into the nearest pod and slammed the door. It sealed. Eli activated the controls. Engines hummed. The pod shuddered, then launched into space. Outside, the battle raged. Human ships fought bravely but were still outnumbered. Eli watched the cruiser's massive cannons track them. He adjusted the pod's course. Through the viewport, he saw another section of the fleet. The second alien flagship loomed closer. Its hull was black and glinting. Weapons lined its surface. It was bigger and faster than the first. Human ships scrambled to intercept. The odds were worse than anyone expected. Eli gritted his teeth. He knew the fight was far from over. He looked at Ryan, who was unconscious but alive. Eli's hand tightened around the console. Human cunning and courage were all they had, and Eli would use it all. Then the pod shook violently. A sudden force slammed it sideways. The viewport cracked slightly. Eli realized something worse was coming. Another unknown threat had emerged from the cruiser's shadow. His stomach dropped. The war had grown more dangerous than he could have imagined. The pod drifted back toward the human fleet. Eli kept it steady. Ryan leaned against him, weak but alive. Human ships were reorganizing, firing at the second alien flagship. Explosions lit the black space. Metal debris floated between the fleets. The battle was chaotic and deadly. Eli jumped from the pod to the deck of a human cruiser. Cadets rushed past him, manning guns and shields. The second alien flagship moved faster than predicted. Its energy beams struck human ships, tearing through armor. Eli saw cadets fall, their cries lost in the roar of battle. He ran along the corridor, assessing weapons and positions. He shouted orders, moving where needed. Cadets followed, trusting his instinct. He reached a weapons control console and used it to target the alien flagship's weak points. Calculations flashed, but Eli ignored them. He relied on intuition. Human unpredictability was their advantage. The flagship's weapons fired again. Beams struck the cruiser. The deck shuddered. Eli grabbed a cadet who fell and pulled him to cover. Another cadet aimed a missile launcher. Eli adjusted the trajectory quickly. The missile hit the alien shield, causing sparks and smoke. Small victories kept the fleet alive. A trusted officer approached Eli. He was pale. "Sir, a group of our own has defected. They sabotaged the primary cannon." Eli's stomach sank. The betrayal was a knife in the heart. The officer avoided his gaze. "We need another plan," he said. Eli nodded, hiding anger. Time for anger was gone. He ran to the damaged cannon. Cadets followed, covering him as he climbed inside the control chamber. Sparks flew from broken circuits. The weapon was half offline. Eli worked fast. He rewired circuits with human improvisation, bypassing security systems. Cadets handed tools and cables as he gave orders. Every second mattered. Another beam from the flagship hit the deck. Metal twisted, alarms screamed. Eli ignored the pain as he pulled the final wire into place. The cannon powered up. He aimed it at the alien flagship's exposed hull. Fire erupted. Energy tore through armor. The flagship shuddered, then began to spin to avoid the blast. Eli took a breath. The cadets cheered briefly. He did not celebrate. He knew the fight was far from over. His mind raced, calculating every move the aliens might make. A massive shadow loomed across the viewport. The second alien flagship adjusted its course, heading directly toward them. It moved faster than expected, blocking escape routes. Eli's pulse quickened. He realized the flagship had locked onto him personally. Weapons aligned on his position. Every cadet froze. The cruiser shuddered under the power of the alien targeting. Eli clenched his fists. He had to act before they were destroyed. Human cunning, speed, and courage would be their only chance. He shouted orders, moving cadets into cover. Alarms screamed. The bridge trembled. Smoke filled the room. Eli looked at the young faces around him, cadets who had followed him from the start. Fear and trust mixed in their eyes. Eli's chest tightened. He understood the weight on his shoulders. The human advantage was not strength alone, but heart. A sudden blast shook the deck. The cannon powered down temporarily, damaged by the flagship's counterattack. Eli gritted his teeth. He had seconds to fix it. His hands moved quickly, rewiring and stabilizing the weapon. Sparks flew around him. Cadets held off alien boarding teams that poured in through the damaged doors. Eli felt Ryan's hand brush his shoulder. He looked down. Ryan was awake, weak, but determined. Eli nodded. They were in this together. Then the console beeped urgently. Sensors showed an incoming alien squad, larger and faster than before. Eli's eyes widened. The enemy had adapted. The battle was shifting again, and the humans were running out of time. Eli gripped the control panel. His muscles burned. Sweat ran down his face. The alien squad moved faster than before, cutting through the deck. Cadets fired from cover, but some fell. Explosions shook the walls. The ship groaned under fire. He looked at Ryan. His friend was wounded, but still alive. Eli nodded to him. They had to finish this together. The cannon was partially restored. It could take down the flagship if he aimed perfectly. Eli adjusted the controls. Cadets handed him cables, tools, and energy packs. Every second counted. Aliens stormed the control room. Eli fired, dodged, and pushed Ryan behind a console. His heart pounded. Every shot could be their last. Cadets fought back with everything they had. Smoke and sparks filled the room. Metal twisted. Alarms screamed. The cannon powered up fully. Eli aimed at the flagship's hull. He calculated speed, trajectory, and distance in his mind, relying on instinct. One pulse, one chance. His hand trembled but did not falter. Ryan held his shoulder for support. Eli smiled faintly. Human courage was stronger than fear. He fired. Energy tore through the alien hull. Sparks and debris flew. The flagship shook violently. Aliens screamed over the comms. The human fleet seized the advantage, striking with speed and precision. The tide of battle turned. Eli ran down the corridor with Ryan and the cadets. More boarding teams arrived. They fought, pushed, and dodged. Eli's strength surprised even the cadets. He lifted heavy debris to block passages. He pulled Ryan over twisted metal. His mind and body worked faster than the aliens could predict. They reached the outer deck. The flagship was crippled. Human ships fired relentlessly. Eli saw cadets celebrating briefly. He did not relax. Another beam fired from a hidden weapon. It missed, but the message was clear. The fight was not over. Eli scanned the horizon. Another alien fleet shadowed the stars. Larger, faster, and more organized than before. He clenched his fists. The humans had survived, but the war was far from finished. Ryan looked at Eli, exhaustion on his face. Eli nodded, understanding his friend's struggle. "We keep moving," he said. Ryan smiled faintly, trusting him. Cadets looked around at the destruction, the burning ships, the fallen comrades. Eli's eyes swept the fleet. Human ingenuity, courage, and unpredictability had won this battle. But the galaxy held greater dangers. The control room shook again. Sensors blinked rapidly. Eli turned to see a signal from deep space, unlike anything human had ever detected. A massive shadow moved, faster than light calculations allowed. The crew froze. Eli's chest tightened. He knew this was only the beginning of a far larger conflict. Eli clenched his teeth, gripping the console. Cadets waited, looking to him for direction. He raised his head, his eyes burning with determination. He had faced the impossible before. He would face it again. The human fleet prepared for the next move. Eli looked out at the stars. The weight of survival, courage, and leadership rested on him, and he was ready to lift it again with one hand and a smile.